Hello, gentlemen. How are we?
Very well. How are you?
I am doing great. I had a lovely time watching Julia. I think I watched all 8 episodes yesterday. Yes. Uh, Chris, I know that Julia Child has been an enduring figure in our culture for so long. What was it that drew you to exploring her, and what did you want to bring out or expand on her?
Sure. Okay. Well, I'd say, first of all, she was part of my life, right? I was a
Mm.
child of the 60s. I grew up watching her, not in a family that cooked. We didn't cook. We ate the way Julia taught us not to anymore. Uh, Brought in food and ate out of a can. But we watched her as a family because she, I think, although I didn't understand it as a child, embodied some things that people saw in her, which is the way she approached food was the way we should approach life, which is full of joy, without anything but a desire to live to the fullest, confident in yourself, okay with all of your mistakes. All of that stuff, I think, is what makes her last for us and what we're trying to embody in the show. For us, though, and I mean, Daniel probably want to talk about this too, we had a long time to talk about her. We had 8 hours to talk about a little bit over a year in her life. And so that gave us a chance to take her, the Julia you know, and fill in the blanks that you don't know, and talk about a whole bunch of different things. So that means about food culture, obviously, and the meaning of cooking, but also about celebrity, about the rise of public television, about feminism and the other social movements of the 60s and into the 70s, about the evolution of a marriage from something that looks like an old-fashioned 1950s marriage, a good one, but into a modern marriage. She was a prism through which we could look through at all of those things, surrounded in this very delightful package that makes it easy to watch, I think, I hope.
It was very easy to watch. This is true. Um, Daniel, I know you said that it had to be Sarah or nobody for the show. What made Sarah the perfect fit for Julia, and how did you get her to transplant herself from England to the US, which I think has never been done before?
I mean, thank goodness. I mean, I don't know. I mean, she read the script and she said she was in. So we were very, very lucky that she responded to the material the way she did. And the way Sarah transforms is really Sarah's secret in a way. We just got to witness it. What Sarah is obviously one of the world's great actors and known as one of the world's great dramatic actors. And the tone of Julia is something a little bit sly. It's sort of kind of a comedy, but it's also kind of a drama. And what we needed was someone who had Sarah's authority and Sarah's weight. So she's so funny and she's theatrical and she knows how to go for the comedy. But when we needed a moment to land, she's a great dramatic actress. And I think that is something that really was sort of our ace that we had, that we did not go for a comedian and that we cast like just a great actor who could play all the moments truthfully.
Absolutely. She lights up the screen. I'm very happy that you guys have her. Also love to get like a behind the scenes look at the French chef. Like we get episodes that feel recreated and yet you're getting to see how they got there. What was your approach to this television, like public television production aspect? Were you going for more like doing the research, almost like a documentary type feel or a biopic type feel, or finding the narrative arc that you wanted and then, putting in the facts that you may or may not find? Chris?
It's a nice combination of both. We did a fair amount of research on this, read everything that was written, watched The French Chef as well. We had a whole team of people from our production designer, Patricia von Brandenstein, and who did the work, our props people, who did the work to make sure that it was perfectly authentic. And that was important to us. And then we put that aside and said, okay, Daniel and I often talk about this as the Amadeus version of the show, which is the way Peter Schaffer talked about his play Amadeus and movie, which is, of course, we wouldn't know what possibly happened inside those rooms. No one was alive then. But we stand by reading between the lines and intuiting what that life must have been. And that was the imaginative journey we took. We said, what do we want to say about Julia? Who was she, the Julia you didn't know? How do you portray the uncertainty behind the moments that you didn't see with her and with Paul? How did that woman transform? Not in a biopic way, I think, not with any certainty that she would end up in a certain place, because Julia herself had no idea where she was going. That's one of the nice things about this, that all of these people at GBH, they were at the frontier of public television, the frontier of cooking TV, obviously. So they had no sense of what goal they were aiming toward. Julia didn't want to be famous. She didn't want to make money. She just wanted to teach the things she loved. And so we approached it the same way, is to say, let's just set out on a journey where no one knows where it's going to end, but they earnestly, and Sometimes I hope we slightly less earnestly, pursue their dreams, despite the natural odds of life. And so that's what we did. It was well underlined by research, but mostly a journey of the imagination.
Oh, I love that. And Daniel, I also love Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Thank you.
And I feel in watching Julia, I was like, oh my gosh, there's also a woman carving a niche for herself in an industry that doesn't necessarily want her at first. Is that a theme that you are drawn to in general? Was that an angle that you really wanted to carve out in Julia?
I mean, I think it's a theme. I think I am drawn to underdog stories, and in period pieces, basically almost everybody is an underdog, except for a very certain type of person. And I'm also drawn to people that are extraordinary, and Midge Maisel is extraordinary, and so is Julia. So absolutely, these are outliers. These are people that really make the most of every moment of their life, and it's just great company. It's great as a writer. I'm not even talking about as a viewer, to try it. It's inspiring to write people that inspire you.
Definitely. Chris, I love the chemistry between David and Sarah. I feel like they just really make the marriage pop, feel believable, feel lived in. How did you guys decide that they were the perfect fit together? And what was the journey to getting them like this? How quickly were they this comfortable with each other?
Well, I have to say that both Sarah and David were essentially our only choices for the role. Daniel wrote Paul for David. He's always who we had in mind. We were lucky enough to get him. It was only because of the pandemic that he was free, in some sense, so that was lucky. Sarah, I think we all agreed, was the only person who could play Julia. And they felt right for their characters. But every time you make something like this, you take a leap of faith. And whether or not they were going to pair and feel like a couple or not, we just had to keep our fingers crossed about that. They ended up feeling that way. It was central to the story we wanted to tell, because I think, as we said, if more than almost anything else, this is a story about the evolution of a love and a marriage. They felt like a couple from the moment they got on stage together. That's due, I think, to their artistry, the fact that and that they responded to each other's skill. Let's be honest. I mean, I think there's tremendous respect between the two of them about what the other can do, both in comedy and drama. So, but in the end, like all of this stuff, I mean, Daniel talks about this with Sarah, is that no one had a conversation about how she was going to transform into Julia. We just said, it's yours, go do it. And she did. So if it works, we're very lucky. But there are plenty of television shows, as you know, where that doesn't happen. And we could easily have been here in a moment like that. We just cast the best possible people, and they did the work that they are capable of, and turned themselves into a couple.
And they brought out really beautiful colors in each other. I think David, in a way, helped bring out some of Sarah's innate comedy ability, and I think Sarah inspired David dramatically, and I feel like, and they found each other in the middle, and they're both doing something they've never done before. So it's been really thrilling.
It was thrilling for me to watch as well. Thank you both so much. I cannot wait for everyone else to join me in cooking more Julia Child dishes.
Okay, awesome.